Hi, I'm Matt and welcome to my latest gaming news video. Hope everyone had a good Christmas, New Year, holiday season and all that. It's my first video of 2024. My most recent video actually, before this one, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. That was my most anticipated games of 2024. Actually, yeah, enjoyed doing that. It was a nice change of content and yeah, enjoyed it. Anyway, as always with these gaming news videos, I'll be covering recent gaming news as well as some other gaming related things. And some, actually this week we got some tech and gaming related things to cover. And yeah, as always, I'm also grateful for any feedback, so if you feel the need to do so, please leave a comment below. You can also like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. So yeah, right, let's get into some gaming news. The first thing I wanted to cover was the Steam Awards 2023. These are annual user-voted awards on Steam. There are a few interesting ones to cover, including some sort of memed ones and controversial ones. But yeah, I'll simply go over the nominees for each category and, of course, the winners. Yeah, there was a bit of a uproar about some of the winners, and I'll cover that as I get to them. So first up, we have Game of the Year. Nominees were Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 4, the remake, Hogwarts Legacy, EA Sports FC 24, for some reason that's in there, and Lethal Company. And the winner was, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. I think that was pretty obvious. Also won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, so yeah, that was, yeah, there's not surprised me they won Game of the Year on Steam. Then we have VR Game of the Year, so Labyrinthine. I Expect You to Die 3, Cog in the Machine, EA Sports F1 23, Gorilla Tag, and Ghosts of Tabor. And the winner for that one was Labyrinthine. I don't have a VR headset set up or anything, so I have no clue if the only games I've heard of there are Gorilla Tag and I think of Labyrinthine, but yeah, that was the winner. Next up was Labour of Love. So I think this was games, or the games that were sort of updated and ongoing. And this was actually, the winner was actually a bit of a meme and a bit of an uproar about this one, because I'll cover it when I get to it. But yeah, the nominees were Red Dead Redemption 2, Rust, Apex Legends, Dota 2, and Deep Rock Galactic. No, yeah, I think people took a lot of issues with Red Dead 2 it was the winner, sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is the winner. And yeah, I think people are saying it's a bit of a meme review, and apparently it was just voted on as sort of a joke, but because the Rockstar essentially abandoned, as far as I know, Red Dead a while ago. So yeah, that's a bit of a joke one there. Next up, we have Best Game on Steam Deck. So we've got Dredge, Brotato, Hogwarts Legacy, Diablo 4, and the Outlast Trials. And the winner of that was Hogwarts Legacy. Actually surprised, I've heard it runs okay on the Steam Deck, even though it's a very demanding game. So yeah, that's cool. That did, yeah, won that. Next up, we got Best with Friends. So this would be like co-op things and multiplayer and stuff. We have Warhammer 40k Darktide, Sons of the Forest, Sunken Land, Party Animals, and Lethal Company. And I think you'll be not surprised that Lethal Company actually won this one. Yeah, that's from what I've heard, a really great co-op online game. Next up, we have Outstanding Visual Style. So nominees were Cocoon, Atomic Heart, Darkest Dungeon 2, High on Life, and Inward. And the winner of it was actually Atomic Heart, which I didn't realize so many people actually liked this game. I heard it was well reviewed, but yeah, I didn't expect it to win. I was expecting probably Cocoon to win. That looks quite interesting. And then next up, we have Most Innovative Gameplay. So the nominees were Shadows of Doubt, Contraband Police, Starfield, Your Only Move is Hustle, and Remnant 2. And the winner, another meme one. This one is looked like people were just voting this as a joke, and it was Starfield actually won Most Innovative Gameplay, even though it's very similar to a lot of other Bethesda games. So yeah, that Starfield won. I think a lot of people from videos I watched were expecting Shadows of Doubt to win. That sounds, or maybe even Remnant 2. But yeah, Shadows of Doubt, it seems very interesting, like a procedural sort of detective game. I think that is definitely more innovative than Starfield. But yeah, not much else to say there. Next up is Best Game You Suck At. So Overwatch 2. I'm not sure why that's there. Don't really think that's classed as a hard game, but I'm not sure. Street Fighter 6, EA Sports FC 24 for some reason, Sifu, and Lords of the Fallen. And Sifu was actually the winner of that one. To me, yeah, it would be between Sifu and Lords of the Fallen. Those are the only ones that really make sense. I guess Street Fighter 6, but yeah, Sifu 1, I've heard that's a great game. I've actually started playing Lords of the Fallen recently. I'm really actually enjoying it, even though it's not got the best reviews on Steam, but so far, yeah, really liking Lords of the Fallen, playing through that at the moment. So yeah, for me, it was either Lords of the Fallen, I guess, or Sifu. I guess Armored Core could have also been on here, so not sure why that is missing. Next up, we have Best Soundtrack. So these are the nominees: Chance of Senna, Pizza Tower, The Last of Us Part 1, so the remake, Hi-Fi Rush, and Persona 5 Tactica. And the winner actually was Last of Us Part 1. I saw a few people complain about this one, that I think more people were expecting Pizza Tower or Hi-Fi Rush to win this. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised The Last of Us Part 1 won this. I'm not sure if this was another sort of a joke one or a meme one that was voted for, but yeah, I'm surprised that The Last of Us Part 1 won the best soundtrack. Then we have Outstanding Story Rich Game. So nominees were Love Is All Around, Resident Evil 4 again, Lies of P, Baldur's Gate 3 again, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And the winner was Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm not too surprised about this, to be honest. It's probably got, I'm not quite sure because I haven't played any of these, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 probably does have the deepest story out of the bunch. So yeah, not too surprised it went to that. And then finally, we have the sit back and relax category. Nominees were Potion Craft, Dave the Diver, Coral Island, Train Sim World 4, and City Skylines 2 for some reason. I guess it can be kind of relaxing for the City Skylines games, but I know that City Skylines 2 has a lot of issues, I believe. But yeah, anyway, the winner was Dave the Diver, so I'm not too surprised about that. I've heard it's a great game. And although I think probably runner-up would be like Coral Island, I would say. I've heard that's quite good. Like a farm sim, life sim type game, I believe. I think I've covered it before as well. But yeah, Dave the Diver won that one. Yeah, those were the Steam Awards 2023 winners and nominees. Hopefully I didn't get any of those wrong. But yeah, a couple meme ones in there. Yeah, Starfield really shouldn't have won its category, I feel. It was definitely, yeah, like a meme and joke pick. And same goes for Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, as far as I know, is a really great game, but yeah, should it really have won Labour of Love when Rockstar aren't doing anything with it anymore? I'm not really sure. That's the Steam bit there wrapped up. We're moving on. We have some news that I've covered previously a little while back, and that's more Switch 2 or Switch successor info to cover. Yeah, I've covered Switch 2 a number of times, I think mostly back in my tech news videos, but as it's a gaming related piece of tech, I thought I'd cover it here. And this isn't the only tech bit I mentioned earlier or alluded to earlier. There will be another bit later. But yeah, anyway, there have been a bunch of leaks on this gaming handheld. It was reported a little while back that a demo of the device was shown to devs at Gamescom 2023. Also, dev kits are apparently in the hands of developers, and that the device will continue to use an Nvidia GPU like the current Switch models do. Latest details coming via game industry analysts. This one was, pretty obvious given all the rumours, but one analyst, Dr. Sakan Toto, said that he expects the Switch 2 to launch sometime in 2024. But yeah, that's kind of expected. I think I've touched on that before. He also mentioned that a Switch Pro was actually in development, although this seemingly is no longer going to release for obvious reasons, because the Switch 2 is probably going to come out in later this year. Dr. Toto said that, quote, "The time is finally here for a Switch successor, even though I can say a Pro model actually did exist and certain developers are already working with the dev kit. I believe the next hardware will drop next year, so the Switch 2, for $400. There is a high chance that games will cost more too, at $70. Next system is also likely to be an iteration rather than revolution. Nintendo might add some bells and whistles to the device, but it will be similar to the current Switch. And because there is Pokemon and Pokemon is associated with handheld gaming, there is no way on earth Nintendo will drop the portability feature for their next big thing." So yeah, some interesting info there. Definitely, yeah, it's pretty obvious now. It will be handheld. So yeah, some interesting info from Dr. Toto. You may have noticed, also mentioned pricing. I believe the current Switch goes for around $300 at the moment, with the OLED model going for around $350 when I checked Amazon US. Obviously deals and stuff will drop that a bit. $100 for the Switch 2 is, yeah, certainly likely, and I feel reasonable for a new console, and I expect we'll also see price drops for both original Switch models when the new one releases. I'm not sure what to think about the quote iteration rather than revolution bit. I can see that being the case, but given how long it has been since the original Switch released, I suspect the increased performance will be quite impressive. Obviously, I could be wrong though. Maybe it won't be that massive. As briefly touched on, the new Switch is more likely going to be using Nvidia chip as the first Switch already does. There are rumors, actually, I covered these again previously, that the Switch 2 will have an Ampere-based chip. Ampere powers the RTX 3000 series of Nvidia GPUs, like the RTX 3080 and etc. So on. But yes, it's pretty obvious, but the Switch 2's GPU will be cut down a lot compared to something like a 3080 or 3090. That's pretty obvious due to its handheld form factor. Well, it should still be considerably more powerful than the previous Maxwell chip in the original Switch models. It's also been rumored that the Switch 2 device shown off at Gamescom made use of of DLSS to run an Unreal Engine 5 demo, and it's also shown running Breath of the Wild apparently. So this points to a potential remaster or simply a port of that game, and maybe Tears of the Kingdom as well come to the Switch too. As stated in the IGN article I went over, in Nintendo's next event is its February Direct. It's possible that we could get a teaser or even a reveal of the next Switch at that event. Not certain, but it could be. But yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that one. My guess for an actual release date is probably late Q3 or into Q4 of 2024 for the Switch 2. So moving on from Nintendo, next we have some Star Citizen news. Star Citizen ship details that are pretty wild. I don't think I've really covered Star Citizen much here. This might be the first time I've covered it. But yeah, as you may know, Star Citizen is quite possibly the biggest crowdfunded game ever. I think gaming-wise it is, and probably crowdfunded thing ever. And at the time of checking, the game had raised, I think it was 658 or 659 million USD. It's probably up to now, with backing from around 5 million people. So yeah, over half a billion, in 2/3 of a billion in funding. So yeah, that's pretty massive. Never really looked into the game much, but I am interested to maybe play it one day. But that's probably still a while away. For context, Star Citizen started pre-production in 2010. And production in 2011 and was originally anticipated for release in 2014. Obviously that that didn't happen, and the game hasn't released as of yet. I believe you can play the alpha early access of the game now, but you will have to pay for at least one of their starter packs to get access to that alpha. Anyway, to the actual news story, Star Citizen is known not only for its lengthy development cycle, but also its costly in-game ships which you can buy with real money, and sometimes a lot of real money, as we'll be covering. As reported by IGN, Cloud Imperium Games, who are the developers, publishers, etc., is releasing a new ship bundle that will cost $48,000. So yeah, that's pretty wild. The Legatus 2953 pack, as it's called, will be released in Q1 of this year, and yes, will cost $48,000. For this almost 50k sum of money, you get over 175 vessels. The description for the package reads, quote, "Ahead of all others, this definitive armada is an equal match to the noble titles of Legatus Navium." Comprised of over 175 vessels from every manufacturer of note, this perfect collection includes including all ships released and concepted through 2953, empowers every fleet commander to forge a lasting legacy, leading humanity towards a brighter future, end quote there. It was also worth noting that there is one requirement you must meet before you can purchase the bundle. That being, you must be a member of the Star Citizen Citizens Chairman's Club, and you have reached the tier in it that requires you to have already spent $10,000. So yes, to buy this bundle, if you've not spent any money on the game, will cost you $58,000. So yeah, pretty wild. I really couldn't imagine spending that amount of money on a game. I'm generally okay with spending money on in-game packs or bundles, especially if it's a game I've played a lot and like free to play, like in the case of like War Thunder. Although I will usually wait for deals for the stuff in games like that. But generally, I don't really pay for stuff like that often. But yeah, well, War Thunder's the exception because I've played a lot of it and it's free to play, and yeah, I'll just usually wait for a deal, the annual deals and things. But yeah, obviously there's nowhere near as much as there's these ships and things. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty wild to spend that amount on in-game ships. I'd say the starter packs that give access to the game and a ship, among other things, seem fine, but hundreds or even thousands of dollars is just way too much in my opinion. And yeah, although given the game's past, I don't doubt some people end up buying this bundle pack. Yeah, it's exceptionally expensive, but yeah, I'm sure some people will actually buy it. Now, next up, we have some Xbox games news. According to a gaming podcast, Microsoft is planning to release a quote acclaimed first party game to competitor platforms. This is according to the podcast Nate the Hate podcast. Hadn't heard of them before, but apparently they often break gaming industry stories. According to the VGC article I read in the podcast, it was mentioned which title it would be, or it wasn't mentioned which title it would be. Only mentioned that it was quote in the game of the year conversation. And that was apparently in the year it was released. The whole bit quoted on VGC reads, in the calendar year of 2024, Microsoft will bring one of their more acclaimed first-party games to a competitor's system. The title I'm referring to was met with high critical acclaim. Fans loved it, and it was in the Game of the Year conversation in the year that it released. When the announcement comes, I think it will be met with a lot of excitement because it's a quality game. So yeah, an acclaimed first-party Xbox game could be coming to both Nintendo and PlayStation systems, the Switch and PS5, maybe the PS4, I guess. The most common speculation is seemingly pointing to the game being Hi-Fi Rush. I could definitely see that, as it is a game with high acclaim. There was also a more recent report that Sea of Thieves could be the title Microsoft plans to release multi-platform. This was speculation on the part of Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb. Grubb said that, quote, Sea of Thieves, I'll say I've heard that was one that might be coming to other platforms. When I first started hearing these rumours, I was like, this is probably about Sea of Thieves because I've heard that could come to Switch and PlayStation. In my opinion, I think it's more likely going to be Hi-Fi Rush, as I feel it is held in higher regard than Sea of Thieves, but obviously I could be wrong. As covered in the VGC article, Sea of Thieves overall is the more successful of the two games, with it having been played by over 15 million people, so a fair bit there. So yeah, maybe it will be Sea of Thieves. So yeah, no confirmation as of yet, but I expect we'll find out in the coming months if this story becomes a reality. I guess we could see both released multi-platform, but again, we'll have to wait. Moving away from Xbox, we have some news that is related to actually my most anticipated games of 2024 video. Covered a number of upcoming games in that video. Check it out if you're interested. I will link it in the description, and it will likely be the featured video on screen at the end. Anyway, the news is about a game I covered called Pax Dei. This is an upcoming social sandbox MMO with a focus on PvE, so dungeons and the likes, base building, clans, exploration, resource gathering and crafting. Not that bothered about MMOs these days as I used to be. The last one I played a good amount of was old school RuneScape. I think I've mentioned that a number of times. But yeah, Pax Dei has me really intrigued. I won't cover too much. Check my most anticipated videos if you want more on the actual game. In short, really like luckily exploration and the base building and the world. I think those are the things from it that have me most interested, at least from the videos I watched on the game's most recent invite-only alpha playtest. So the news is that Pax Dei has got an official early access release timeframe. The game will be releasing into early access via Steam and maybe its own launcher, client/launcher in spring of 2024. This was revealed during a DLSS partnership video with Nvidia at CES 2024, something I will be covering later. I wasn't expecting to hear about this so soon, to be honest. At least one of the games I covered that didn't have an official release date is releasing into early access this year. So yeah, a bit surprised that we've discovered that that's been announced so soon. Not too much else to say about this really. I would be looking forward to the early access release. Hopefully by then it gets even better than it already looks to be. Just to add, there is speculation that another invite-only alpha may be scheduled for sometime in February. I have signed up at the Play Pax Dei website to get a chance to be invited. Whether that happens is uncertain, but it would be a pleasant surprise if I got an invite to test the game out. May even use footage in the future if I am able to play it. Now I'm just sort of waiting on the Under a Rock devs to reveal their early access plans, if that is the route they decide to take. But yeah, anyways, it's cool to see that Pax Dei has actually got an early access release timeframe. Now for some Warner Brothers / Harry Potter gaming news. Following the huge success of Hogwarts Legacy, the gaming company is planning on releasing more Harry Potter / Hogwarts universe games, with a series of unannounced games in the works. Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment President David Haddad, in an interview with Variety, said that Hogwarts Legacy has so far sold over 22 million copies. And this apparently made it the overall best-selling game of 2023, which is rather impressive. That is, if that is the case. I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy. To be honest, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, really, which I guess might shock some, given I'm British. But anyway, I have heard a lot of great things about the game, and yeah, it's very well reviewed on Steam, and critically, it was very well reviewed, and obviously commercially, it's done amazingly. But yeah, taking into account what I said about not being a fan of the franchise, I don't dislike it, just not really interested. But yeah, from what I've seen, I actually quite like the look of the game and wouldn't mind giving it a go someday. It looks pretty good. But yeah, anyway, back to the main story. A number of new Harry Potter universe games are in development, including only one that has actually been announced, that being Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Hopefully it lives up to the PS2 era Quidditch World Cup. I've heard that was a good game, like a classic game from that era. As I mentioned, though, that is the only upcoming Harry Potter game confirmed, but apparently another Lego Harry Potter is in the works as well. I've not played the Lego games, but I've heard they're good. On the unannounced games and the Quidditch game, Haddad said that, quote, a series of other things will let the fans be part of this world and stories and characters in deeper and deeper ways. We don't have any particular announcements on exactly how and when the Quidditch game is going to come to the market, but we are working to get it designed in a way just to delight fans. Given this news, I suspect the new year, this next few years, may be good ones to be a Harry Potter fans. So hopefully these upcoming games, end up being good. Hope so. Maybe by the time they come out, I would have given Hogwarts Legacy a go. Now, next up, before we move on to the more tech stuff, which is the CES and Nvidia and a bit of AMD coverage, I wanted to cover some layoff news. More layoffs were expected, but I didn't expect I'd be talking about them in my first video this year. This is news coming out about two gaming companies. First, Unity has announced it's planning on laying off approximately 1,800 employees. This amounts to approximately 25% of its total employment count. This is Unity's fourth time cutting jobs in the past year. I think I covered Unity layoffs previously, but yeah, we have even more layoffs coming out of Unity. Not great. Unity said that the layoffs were due to company-wide restructuring, and where have we heard that before? Embracer. Yeah, not great. So it looks like this round list will be finished by March of 2024. Next up, a game developer, Bossa Studios, is laying off around 1/3 of its employees. Bossa Studios are the developers behind the Surgeon Simulator games, I Am Bread, I Am Fish, and the upcoming Lost Skies, among others. Lost Skies actually looks pretty cool. I had a look into it when I didn't know they were developing it or anything, so I checked it up when it was mentioned in the article. It actually looks really cool. It's like a interesting looking co-op survival game. According to the report, the layoffs at Bossa Studios will affect 19 employees. This was according to GameIndustry.biz sources, and will affect QA and production staff. So some pretty rough news. As always, I wish the employees affected all the best going forward. So now into the final piece of news before we get into the upcoming game section. This is going to be some tech news, specifically about Nvidia, but mainly about Nvidia, but also a bit about AMD and their recent CES 2024 reveals. I don't cover as much tech stuff as I used to when I did these tech news videos, standalone tech news videos, but yeah, stuff like this is still feel need to cover as it's pretty big and affects PC gaming. And yeah, it's few and far between you get an announcement like this for new GPUs for this specifically. So yeah, at CES 2024, which started on the 8th of January, I believe it would have wrapped up by the time this video comes out. Nvidia revealed its highly speculated on super refresh GPUs for its 40 series lineup. I won't go too deep into specifics, only some light coverage. We'll include actually Gamers Nexus and Hardware Unboxed videos covering the Nvidia announcements as today's Spotlight videos. Check the description below for the links, and I'll talk a bit about them, more about them a bit later. But yeah, let's get into actual details. To start off, the RTX 4070 Ti and the RTX 4080, the standard models, are being discontinued. As long as stocks last, these will be available to buy, but production has stopped for these two SKUs. The RTX 4080 is being replaced by the RTX 4080 Super and the RTX 4070 Ti by the RTX 4070 Ti Super 16GB. Nvidia is also releasing an RTX 4070 Super, which will coexist with the regular 4070. Specs wise, all Super GPUs receive a bump in core counts and memory bandwidth. among other things, when compared to their non-super variants. While the RTX 4070 Ti Super is also getting a bump in VRAM capacity to 16GB, which I kind of feel, given how powerful the regular model is, that should have released with that amount. But yeah, it didn't. Anyway, thus the 4080 and 4070 Super will continue to have 16 and 12GB VRAM respectively. To be honest, it would have been nice to see the 4070 Super having 16GB as well, given that it competes with the 16GB equipped 7800 XT. Pricing is quite interesting. The RTX 4080 Super is going to be $999 to $1,000. I checked in the UK, it will be £959, so £960 around there. So yeah, that's a $200 price cut from the regular 4080, and with a likely slight bump to performance that should improve price to performance a decent amount, or the $1,000 is, yeah, still rather pricey. The RTX 4070 Ti Super will come in at the same price as the outgoing 4070 Ti, so $799, $800, and the RTX 4070 Super will be priced at $599, around $50 more than the regular 4070, which I believe received an official $50 price cut. And given this is all these prices I've mentioned are MSRP pricing, this is probably the lowest you'll see any of these cards. So AIBs and the likes will potentially be there. Some of them might hit MSRP, but I would imagine quite a few of them will go over that by a fair bit. In conclusion, then, I feel, yeah, this is fine. Price drop for the 4080 Super as well as the 16GB of VRAM on the 4070 Ti Super is nice, but I would like to see lower pricing, though it would seem these prices are now set in stone. As for release, they are slightly staggered. 4070 Super releases on January 17th, 4070 Ti Super on January 24th, and finally the 4080 Super on January 31st. Obviously, all 2024. Yeah, that was the Nvidia stuff. I do also want to touch on AMD quick. At CES, they announced an RX 7600 XT. This will have 16GB of VRAM, which is quite impressive. A price of $329 and a release date of January 24th. It does seem a pretty good product for that price, especially with that amount of VRAM. But yeah, definitely I would wait for reviews if you're interested in that, because yeah, you never know these days. AMD also announced its Ryzen 8000 Zen 4 APUs. These will be the Ryzen 7 8700G with Radeon 780M graphics, the Ryzen 5 8600G with 760M graphics, and the Ryzen 5 8500G and Ryzen 3 8300G, both equipped with 740M graphics. These APUs will be available January 31st. But yeah, may cover the RTX 40 supercards when reviews come out. Certainly looking forward to how those three perform in relation to other Nvidia as well as AMD cards. So yeah, be an interesting few weeks. Graphics card, graphics tech, PC tech wise. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on all that. So now moving into the upcoming game section of the video. This week we actually have a fair few games to cover, including a couple pretty big ones. First up, we have an interesting looking game, Time Survivors. This is an action roguelike bullet hell-esque game with an interesting time travel element. It's quite reminiscent of the extremely popular Vampire Survivors game. In the game, you take control of a number of historical figures and fight creatures in a variety of historical eras. This is best detailed by the developers, quote, "the most historically inaccurate roguelike ever made. Slay hordes and minions as Lincoln, Tesla, Cleopatra, and other historic heroes with unique abilities. Fight through various historical eras, collect resources, unlock and enhance gameplay through a deep skill tree meta progression." So it has a rather interesting, some may even say quirky premise. Going by the trailer, it has various settings, including ancient Egypt, some prehistoric eras with dinosaurs, and a Victorian / like Gothic era, among others. And as Devs mentioned, you control many different historical figures, although they don't seem to be limited to their specific eras. I saw Oda Nobunaga fighting dinosaurs, for instance. Time Survivors, as I briefly touched on, is a roguelike bullet hell game. So there's a lot going on screen and a lot of action. The addition of a skill tree for each character seems cool, so hopefully progression is enjoyable. But yeah, not too much else to say gameplay wise. Graphically similar to the aforementioned Vampire Survivors, the game is 2D with pixel graphics, though it does seem less pixely than Vampire Survivors, at least with some models. So it does look slightly different visually. It's going for a high fidelity look, I guess you could say, and some of the 2D sprites look quite good. Time Survivors is releasing on the 15th of January. It is coming solely to PC via Steam. The developers are Lunar Chili, and there is a demo available for the game over on the developers itch.io page. But the demo might come to Steam. Not sure why it's not on Steam, but might come to Steam when it releases. Next up, we have a city builder / colony sim, a new cycle. This is a city builder set in a post-apocalyptic world. It does have the feel of some other city builder / colony sim games like Pioneers of Pagonia and Frostpunk or Farthest Frontier. Story-wise, the setting takes place in a world that was ravaged by a solar flare, and now you must work to rebuild civilization. The description says, quote, "Build a new civilization out of the chaos of an apocalyptic solar flare as you grow your house from a lone shelter to an industrial metropolis. Take on the burden of preserving life itself and help your people realize their aim, a future beyond survival. Lead the world of a new cycle." I don't think there are too many post-apocalyptic city builders or colony sims, so hopefully this is a good addition to the genre. From what I've seen, it looks fine to me. As with other games in this genre, you will start with a small village or hamlet type settlement, and you must gather resources, increase your population, and build a variety of different structures to grow in size and improve your chances of survival. There are also railways, so some form of rail management is likely. And yeah, resource management, foraging, mining, and others, along with trade, seem to be a major part of the gameplay loop as well, similar to other games in the genre. Also saw a bit of combat in the trailer. And there's also a tech tree of sorts is also mentioned, so yeah, that's cool. Graphics and art-wise, it's going for a more realistic look, and this is a kind of mix between something like Frostpunk and Farthest Frontier, I guess, but with its own unique post-apocalyptic look. New Cycle is releasing into early access on Steam on the 18th of January. It's coming solely to PC. Moving on, we have a survival game, Fractured Veil. The game is going for a Hawaiian vibe and is set on a map based on real-world topographical data from Maui, which is, I believe, is the second biggest Hawaiian island, although the game world isn't as big as its real-life counterpart. The developer's description on Steam reads, quote, "Embrace the aloha spirit to chill in your choice of safe social PvP zones. Build with a quick craft and effortless building system. Take a killer risk into the jungle for greater rewards and endless exploration where you'll meet mutants and friendly vendors waiting to say aloha." As with other survival games, we have the genre staples. There is an extensive base building system, which looks quite good actually. Resource gathering and a crafting system, which is skill-based, maybe a bit like Conan Exiles. As mentioned, there will be safe, social, and PvP zones, so you can choose to just build in safety if that's what you want, maybe sort of a creative type mode. But yeah, there might be safety from monsters as well as players. I guess in the PvP zones, you will need to defend your base from enemy NPCs and players, however. There are also dungeons. Just noted there are dungeons on the island, a day-night cycle, which I assume more danger at night, I would imagine. RPG, quote, RPG-inspired player progression, and also, interestingly, quests, which you can do. I expect these are fairly simple, but questing is something that isn't seen often in survival games, I feel. I think there are mods for, I think some of them do have it, but it's generally rarer, it seems, and there are mods for quests, I believe, in a number of survival games. Graphics-wise, you can probably imagine how the game's going to look. It's quite similar to other survival games. It does remind me of Rust to a degree visually. Also, I believe the game was upgraded from Unreal Engine 4 to 5 back in June of last year. Fractured Veil is releasing into early access on Steam on the 18th of January and is another game that is coming solely to PC. Up next, we have a pretty big release, that being Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. As with the other Prince of Persia games, this is an action-adventure game. One big difference, however, The Lost Crown is a 2.5D side-scrolling platformer. This is the first mainline Prince of Persia game since 2010's Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. In The Lost Crown, you play as a new hero character named Sargon, who is a member of a clan of warriors, the Immortals. Sargon's mission is to enter the cursed city of Mount Quaff and rescue the kidnapped Prince Ghassan. Gameplay-wise, the game features side-scrolling action combat, platforming, puzzle-solving, and exploration. Lost Crown also has Metroidvania elements, such as the game world being interconnected. Certain skills or tools also have to be acquired to progress through certain areas. And you'll be able to upgrade your weapons with time crystals, and these are found through exploration. Graphically, the game looks quite nice as a stylized, colourful aesthetic, and the environments, both in the background and foreground, look good. Similarly, the animations, magical / special effects, combat, etc., yeah, all look pretty good. Seen a fair bit of mixed reception for this game online. I think people were hoping for a new fully fledged 3D Prince of Persia game instead of a 2.5D game, but I have heard some YouTubers, Skill Up specifically, who have previewed the game and are liking it. However, we don't have to wait long to see how it will be received by the masses. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is releasing on the 18th of January and is coming to most platforms. So PC, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS5 and 4, and the Nintendo Switch. So that's pretty much all modern platforms. Although, one issue similarly to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, this game will only be available on PC via the Ubisoft Store and Epic Games Store, which, yeah, isn't great in my opinion, as I'd like to see a Steam release. Now onto a collection release, that being Another Code Recollection. This is a release of 2 remakes, Another Code 2 Memories and its sequel Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories, originally released for the Nintendo DS and Wii respectively. This release will be the first official release of the sequel to the North American market. In both games, the player takes control of Ashley Mizuki Robbins, a girl who in the first game is looking for her father. The first game takes place on Blood Edward Island, and the second on the Lake Juliet, both fictional locations. From what I can tell, these remakes are 3D adventure puzzle mystery games, with the main focus being on the puzzle-solving aspects of gameplay, as well as the storytelling and uncovering mysteries. This will take place in fully explorable environments, from what I understand. As the game description says, you will, quote, solve riddles, gather clues, and investigate the traces of Ashley Mizuki Robbins' past to uncover the true fates of her parents across 2 stories. Set sail for Blood Edward Island in 2 memories, then pick up 2 years later on a camping trip to Lake Juliet in Journey into Lost Memories. But yeah, if you're into mystery / puzzle adventures, this seems like a good one to check out. Onto the graphics and art design. The game looks rather nice and visually pleasing. It's a 3D cartoon-like art style, kind of similar to the farming / licensing games, the 3D cartoon art style seen in many of those games. I actually really like the aesthetic of this game. As for its release, Another Code Recollection is releasing on the 19th of January. It's coming solely to the Nintendo Switch. Looks like a demo is also available for the game via the Nintendo store, I guess if you have a Switch. You can, check that out. And the final upcoming game releasing is a remaster, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. I'd actually covered the announcement of this I believe a month or so ago. I think most people know of the Last of Us games. They are action-adventure games by Naughty Dog and are set in a post-apocalyptic world that have a heavy story focus as well. The first game was remastered once and also remade, kinda. Originally released for the PS3 in 2013. A remastered version was released for the PS4 in 2014, which is the version I played. And a remaster / remake was also released for the PS5 in 2022 and PC in 2023. As you can tell, this is a series that has had a fair share of remasters, remakes, and now we have another. Not really too much to say about this one. If you don't know The Last of Us, then you probably don't follow gaming too much, or you've been living under a rock, so to speak. Like, it's quite a well-known franchise. And yeah, both games were very well received, although the second game had some controversy, which I won't get into as it's major spoilers territory. But from what I can tell, it's still considered a great game. Yeah, I really loved the first game, and I do have a copy of the second one, which I bought a few months back, but I haven't got around to playing yet. I'll probably go for the first one again and then get into part 2. But yeah, it does seem a bit soon to release a remaster of part 2, but I guess the remaster of the first game on PS4 was only a year later than the PS3 original. For context, it will be around 3.5 years since part 2's original release back in, I believe, 2020. But anyway, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is releasing on the 19th of January. It's coming solely to the PlayStation 5. I suspect we'll see a PC release at some point, maybe later in the year, similar to Part 1. Before moving on, I did want to just mention a piece of news about The Last of Us. The multiplayer spin-off game has been cancelled. The news on this came after my last gaming news video of last year, but I wanted to mention it as it was highly anticipated by The Last of Us fans. So yeah, that was cancelled after I covered a few months back that it was still in development. But yeah, it's been cancelled. I believe Naughty Dog said they wanted to continue to focus on single player experiences instead of a live service one, which is understandable. But yeah, still don't see why they couldn't just have this as an additional piece of side content, similar to the first game's factions multiplayer. But I understand them wanting to focus solely on the single player. So yeah, that's coming to the end of the video. Not too much else to cover this week, as yeah, it's the first video of the year. Not really much else going on. Probably go back to doing the game reception and maybe some other bits next week's video. But yeah, before I wrap up, I did want to do a quick spotlight section. As I mentioned earlier, the spotlight videos for today is a video by Gamers Nexus and one by Hardware Unboxed. Both cover Nvidia's recent RTX 40 Super reviews at CES 2024. As always, both channels do a great job of covering PC tech. If you're interested in the RTX 40 Super details, definitely give both videos a watch as they cover everything you need to know about these soon-to-be released GPUs. Additionally, Hardware Unboxed covers some interesting AMD GPU and CPU news as well. So some of the stuff I touched on, but in more detail. So I definitely recommend checking both videos out if you're interested into PT tech. And as always, the Spotlight section link will be in the description below. So yeah, that's all the game coverage from me today. As always, feedback is appreciated, so go ahead and like and leave a comment. If you enjoy my videos and comment too, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again next week.